Welcome to Reality with Kiki. I'm your host, Kiki, and on this channel, we discuss reality TV, celebrity gossip, and viral topics. Please be sure to like, comment, and subscribe if you like our content. You can also follow us on our Facebook page. A link will be in the description box below, and we also have it linked in our bio. All right, so Real Housewives of Potomac. So this episode starts with Giselle, and they are showing her house is currently under construction. Robin gives her a call, and they are discussing how they want to have a launch party for their podcast, Reasonably Shady. So they want to share with the ladies what they have going on, but they're also claiming that there are people who reached out to them, fans who said, "Oh, we want to hear you guys talk. You need to have a podcast." And I was just like, I want to know who those people were, because I who is valuing either Giselle or Robin's opinion? They both make bad life choices. So anyway, despite the construction that's going on at Giselle's house, she still wants to host a party there. Obviously, Robin has a townhouse; it can't be there, but she still wants to have it at her house, and she says she's going to set up a tent outside. So she goes on to say how she's still not good with Wendy and Karen, even though they were supposed to squash it from the last time. So Giselle says she does not want Wendy or Karen to use the bathroom in her house. And for the first time ever, Robin disagrees with Giselle. So Robin's like, no, you can't do that, because if they can't use the bathroom and one of them wet themselves, they're going to be like, oh, she wouldn't let us use the bathroom. And then Giselle's immediately like, oh, yeah, you know what? You're right, because Karen is old enough to wear Depends. And it's like, what was the reason? Like, the dig, it was lame. Also, what world do you live in, Giselle? Like, literally, you're in the same age bracket as Karen. You're both in your 50s. Like, sweetie. So, if Karen is going to be in Depends, or could be in Depends, so could you. So, next, they switch over to Karen to see what she has going on. And she has some of the prototypes for her new home line that's coming out. There's some candles and like some home diffusers, incense type thing. And one thing about Karen, she is a true tourist queen. She had that package together. Her stuff is beautifully packaged. Like, so that's the thing, Giselle. You are trying to continue this war with Karen when you need to be getting on a winning team. You need to be her friend so she can give you some pointers on how to have a successful business. So they move on to Candace, and Candace is in her kitchen, and her mother comes in, and she immediately asks her about her conversation with Mia. So Dottie is acting like, oh, I don't know, I don't remember, I don't really remember what I said. Mia was asking questions, but she wasn't saying anything. I don't believe she was being malicious. It just kind of was the flow of the conversation. But Candace, I don't even know if she was really assessing that. She just was like, she took in the information, but I don't think she really was listening to what her mother was telling her. Like, she already had the idea in her mind that Mia was trying to be shady, and I want to get your side of things. Now, Although Candace may have not known that her mother was spilling her tea, why do you think that this girl would feel comfortable enough to talk about this with your mother? Like nothing clicked in your mind? Like maybe there is another part of this equation that is missing, especially with her being dishonest and not telling her the entire truth. So they do go to Mia with her family, with her children, her husband, and her mom. She just are discussing things. I believe Mia still holds some resentment towards her mom just because of the way that she grew up, and I think she believes that her mother shows favoritism towards her sister because she's around more. She helps her sister out with her children, and she's not really there for her. Even though Mia has been caught up in some lies when she's been around the other ladies, I do like what she adds to the show because I think she is transparent about her situation with her mom, and her being that real it adds a positive aspect to the show. So Wendy decides she wants to give back to the community, and she wants to pack backpacks full of supplies to give out to teachers and students, which I think is sweet. She has Karen and Escala come over to assist her. And of course, once they are done, they start to have a conversation. They talk about Mia's conversation with Dorothy, and it was how it was a little bit inappropriate, um, and how she shouldn't have felt so comfortable to go to her mother and ask her those questions. But in my mind, why would her mother be comfortable enough to share the information? My mother would never show up to something that I'm doing and talking to people that she barely knows about my business. So in the midst of that, they receive the invites from Giselle and Robin about their party. And Wendy is kind of put on alert because she notices that on the invite it says it was to friends and to haters. And like with her knowing that they're not on good terms, she's picking up what Giselle is attempting to throw down. So Wendy also decides that she wants to throw a small getaway for the couples in the group. And she relays that information to Karen and Escala. So very soon after that, we see the party is coming together. Giselle is putting things together. She has the tent in her backyard, and construction is still going on while she is about to have this party. So shortly after that, the ladies start to show up. So obviously, Robin is early because she is one of the co-hosts. So one of the first invitees is Karen, and it was funny because she was like, "What is going on? What is this scent back here? Are we COVID testing?" All right, so the majority of the ladies start to show up, and the last person who is not there is Candace, and they're like, "You know what? We're just gonna get started. We can't really wait around anymore for her." So they get into why they are having the party. They're starting this podcast, blah blah blah. And Giselle goes into how the party almost never happened. So, of course, Mia's like, "Well, why is that?" And Giselle's like, "Well, because I wasn't going to let certain people use my bathroom." So, naturally, Wendy is like, "Well, who wasn't going to be able to use your bathroom?" Because remember, she already was put on notice. Like, this girl put sent this invite saying to friends and haters, I know that that was a dig towards me. Now, I will say to me, Wendy came to that party with good intentions. She was neutral. She said hi. She hugged people. She brought a gift. So To respond to Wendy's question, said, well, it was going to be Karen and you. So she kind of looked at her oddly. And I just want to keep note that this is the first dig at Wendy. I'm keeping a tally because there are many people who were confused as to why Wendy responded the way that she did, even the people who attacked her. So let's keep a tally so that we can show you why she gave the response that she did. So at this point, you can see Wendy side eyeing her because they were supposed to be moving forward. Why would you? Why would you bring something like that up? Why would that even be a thought that crosses your mind if we're certain anew? So you weren't gonna let them use the bathroom. So Wendy says that's funny because I almost didn't show up. And Giselle was like, "Oh really? Why is that? What's tea?" The tea is she picked up the shade from the invitation. But anyway, you literally just told her that you weren't going to let her use your bathroom. You told Robin. So why are you acting confused as if like this girl's not smart enough to figure out what you are trying to do? But essentially, Wendy is like, it's very clear that you really didn't want me here. So what is understood doesn't need to be explained. And Giselle's like, well, trying to give excuses for why she wouldn't let her use her bathroom or let her in her house, period, I guess. So you, well, you talked about my home. So I wasn't going to let you in. And she's like, I never talked about your home. And Karen interjected and was like, oh, well, that might have been me. And then she kept trying to put it on Wendy, like, yes, you did. Yes, you did. You talked about the colors of my home. You talked about my home. She said, no, I talked about the way that you dress. And it's like, Giselle, I don't know why you upset because the people are telling you the truth. You can't dress. You if you don't have any fashion sense, you're not gonna really have any decor sense. Like you are just tacky. And your home reflects that. And your outfits reflect that. So Giselle's like, well, Wendy, you're on the hater list. And Wendy is like, hating on what? This? Showing her house. And you know what? Production really added to this episode, made it hilarious because they quickly pointed a shot to the construction going on at her home. And I think outside of the construction that's going on, again, I don't think she makes good decisions. This attachment that she has onto her home that doesn't match the rest of her house, why would you do something like that? It again, it just is a reflection. Like it looks tacky. It looks out of place. That's her MO. So then after that, Robin and Giselle are gaslighting Wendy at this point because Robin is like, of course she's gonna jump in again, always jumping in something when you should stay out of it because now you become a casualty of war. And she's like, well, why weren't you gonna come? It seems like you took it personally. Um, That is personal. When you personally are saying, I wasn't going to let you use the bathroom in my home, and that was a decision that I made before you even came here. And it is personal when you're calling me a hater, and on your invitation, you made the invite to friends and haters. You're again letting me know that this is all personal. Like, what's not clicking? And why is there expectation for her to not catch on to you being shady towards her and for her to not respond? Like, I'm not understanding. She's smarter than the both of y'all. This was just confirmation for what Wendy was already thinking. So I'm just not understanding why there was confusions or questions that were being asked. So they move on from that and they start to play a game. They give the ladies paddles that say reasonably or shady, and they are asking questions. Giselle and Robin are asking questions, and you are supposed to respond with your paddle on whether the question is or the situation is reasonable or shady. So they start the questioning, and I think that the questions, for the most part, are general, um, without any context. But I do feel like two of the questions were personal jabs towards Wendy. She let it brush over, but it was very unnecessary. And at this point, I feel like you are trying to get a reaction out of her. Now, this is dig number two on why she thinks that it's reasonable. So she says, okay, so when we are talking about Eddie, the Eddie situation, that was very reasonable. So then Giselle makes it a point to point out that it was shady that Wendy told Candace during her photo shoot that Mia was talking about her to Candace's mother. So I don't think it was shady. I think Wendy did it in real time so that if she needed to confront Mia then or needed to kick her off the scene of the video, then she would have that knowledge. But she was so wrapped up in getting the video done that she really didn't even have time to process that, I don't think. And I'm happy that Wendy chose to go and tell Candace so that she can handle it herself instead of being her guard dog, which I felt like she was doing a lot last season, and the energy was not reciprocated for Wendy. So by this point, Candace has finally showed up, and she's asking what went on and or what they were discussing, and they were telling her how they thought it was shady that Wendy confronted or relayed the information to her during her video shoot. And for the first time that I feel like I've seen Candace actually defended Wendy, it was like, nope, I don't agree. If she felt like that was a good time to tell me, then it was. She was just being a friend. So since they were already on the topic, Candace thought that this was the perfect segue to confront Mia about what the conversation was with her mother. Why did she think it was appropriate to ask about her business and her finances? And they were going back and forth, and Mia was just like, well, you weren't there. I was trying to figure out who was management. Nobody was there to direct us. And I just wanted to show up to something that wasn't low budget. And Candace rebuts, your mother is low budget. So Mia stops in her tracks. I think her mother is a sensitive topic for her, because of everything that she's been through with her mother. So I don't think that she was able to process. Um, but when you are in a situation like that, like you cannot let the girls see you sweat. You got to come back with it. Like you met her mother, you seen her mother. Her mother's an easy read. She don't know your mother. So there is no way that you would have had me caught up because like you got to come back with it. You never let somebody see your weak spot because they're going to come for it every single time. So at this point, because she's already told the Green Eye Bandits about their mother, Giselle's like, whoa, whoa, Candace is doing too much. It's team too much. Now, I don't know why that was such a trigger for her, but if we're being honest, it was low budget. Um, the choice of words, I mean, I probably would have said it was more disorganized more than anything, but for Miss I grew up on a golf course, babe, it was on the lower end of the budget. Candace is annoyed about Mia asking about her financial business, and Ashley interjects and says, well, you told everybody your mama paid for everything, so why are you upset now? And Candace is like, you weren't there, so shut up. And I mean, even though it's true what Ashley said, it may have not been the right time to say something like that. But we know that Ashley is an antagonist. That's what she does. So Candace is like, well, who else had something to say or something to ask? And Giselle immediately is like, Karen. Karen was also talking to your mother. And Karen was not trying to be messy about Candace or what she got going on. She even was trying to tell Dorothy, we are mic'd up. Like, basically, what are you doing? And Wendy was like, well, I don't know why you're saying her name before you say your own, which is absolutely correct because if anybody was being messy, it was Giselle and Robin. And what's interesting is that Giselle actually admitted, she said, yep, we were being shady. And Candace did not have any energy for them, but she had all the energy for Mia. It confuses me because there were times, especially when Candace first came onto this show, Giselle was not trying to be friendly towards her or be her friend, and now all of a sudden she feels like because she had her back last week that they are just building this friendship. It's like whenever Giselle says something to her, she does not confront her. She walks on eggshells around her, and I'm kind of confused as to why people come on the show and want to be friends with Giselle because she is a nasty person. And so, anywho, they move on to the last question. After Giselle read all the other questions, she found it in herself to pass the last question to Robin. And this here is dig number 3. So, in a very specific question, again, after this has already been discussed and after we already know and have established that it was offensive, Robin reads, is it reasonable or shady to be concerned about dramatic changes to your friend's appearance after cheating rumors about their husband emerges? So Giselle jumps up to be the first person to say, oh, I think it's reasonable. And Wendy said, well, it would be reasonable if that same blog didn't report that you had an STD. Child, when I tell you I screamed, stop playing with Wendy, okay? She started. So Robin, being the true Karen that she is telling Wendy to chill, and Wendy is like, "I'm calm. My octave is low. Your voice is the one that's heightened. Like, girl, you press, not me. Y'all trying to take digs at me. Y'all trying me, and now that I respond, it's a problem." And I'm just like, Robin, how is she doing too much? She got y'all together once in Virginia, and now she got to do it again because y'all just won't stop. And you got a lot of nerve trying to tell her to calm down when you pulled up to Ashley's place of business in a previous season to press her about talking about you and Juan when Juan wasn't even your man. But you gonna defend him to the end. But when this girl is defending herself and her actual husband, now y'all got a problem. So it's funny when it's about somebody else, but when it's about you, you got a problem. Y'all keep digging and y'all keep digging and y'all keep digging. And then you get confused when you get slapped in the face with facts. And I don't like the fact that you're telling her to calm down and calling her aggressive and saying she's being difficult and she's just impossible to be around, especially like with her being a dark skinned woman. Like, it's just not it. And it's not just Robin, it's Giselle too. Because she's like to Wendy, what's up with you? Like, she did nothing wrong. Like, nothing is being done to Wendy, and Wendy is just crazy. And the gaslighting is very irritating. So Giselle's like, what? What's up with you? And Wendy is like, I wasn't talking to you. I already said what I needed to say to you. I I know that's right. Sis said, do we need to revisit? So then Giselle proceeds to try and kick Wendy out of her backyard. And they're like, girl, this is a driveway. I forgot who it was. I think Karen said, this is public property. But it's like you are trying to have the upper hand and it's not gonna work. You've been embarrassed yet again. And I thought it was funny how Wendy didn't even move. She like, oh, you can go because you're not gonna kick me out of here. I'm acting like I don't want to be here. No, you're harassing me at this point. You keep poking at me, and I'm acting like I don't want to be here. And a scholar trying to be the voice of reason was like, we already discussed how this was offensive. So you can't get mad at how she responds when you brought it up again. You brought it on yourself. And I mean, it must be frustrating for Wendy because I already discussed with you that I'm not insecure, that I didn't get my body done because there's rumors about my husband cheating. If anything, first of all, there's plenty of women who get plastic surgery and they do it for themselves. And if I got a new body, then I can get a new man. Why would I be hung up on some rumors about my husband cheating that I know are not true? And for Wendy, at first I was kind of like, why is she so upset about this? But when you have women who have never had a man sacrifice for them, who are trying to come at you and trying to disrupt your marriage, then I understand why she feels the way that she feels. So, to disrupt the nonsense that's going on, Karen blurts out that Wendy is planning a couples trip. And so Wendy's like, oh, okay. And she lets everybody know, like, what her plans are. And she goes around the circle, like, yes, it's going to be a couples trip. Chris will be there. G will be there. Dre will be there. Eddie will be there. Ray will be there. And she looks at Robin and pauses. Then she jumps to Giselle. She said, and you can bring your luggage. I yelled so loud. And then Robin tries to act so hurt, like, oh, you hate me. You don't acknowledge my relationship. Girl, Juan's don't even acknowledge that relationship. We know Juan not coming because Juan don't show up to nothing. Juan do what Juan want to do, and he don't want to do Real Housewives of Potomac. And Giselle, you don't even got nobody to attach yourself to, so that luggage comment was hilarious. But I bet you they ain't speak up or speak out of turn again. When Wendy got her lick back, Giselle's face was stuck on stupid and Robin was talking shit under her breath. So pretty much the episode ends with the ladies leaving. Candace is like, oh, you never showed me your house to Giselle. And I think it's so interesting that Giselle is so ready to show Candace her house when the person who actually said something about your house was Candace. One of the funniest things she ever said when she called your house a $900,000 teardown. Now, would you look at that? So that was pretty much the end of it. Next week is looking very interesting because we're gonna start with the trip. But you guys let me know down in the comments how you felt about this episode. I thought it was hilarious. And I will speak with you soon. Talk to you next time.